Why does something so natural, so human, so full of pleasure and connection carry within it such a deep wound that many don't even realize is bleeding? Have you ever wondered why, after moments of intimacy outside of marriage, there's an emptiness that can't be filled, a restlessness that can't be silenced, a search that never finds its destination? Maybe you've experienced this. Maybe you've felt this strange contradiction between what the world proclaims as freedom and what your soul whispers as truth. I need you to know that what you feel is real. That pain, that confusion, that emptiness that sometimes overwhelms you after experiences that should have fulfilled you, it's all more common than you imagine. You are not alone in the struggle. You are not weak for questioning what everyone around you seems to accept as normal. You are not old-fashioned for feeling that there's something deeper, more sacred, more true waiting for you. Your soul is crying out for a reason, and today we're going to understand why. Billy Graham, that giant of faith who touched millions of hearts throughout his life, understood something our modern society has forgotten: that physical intimacy isn't just a biological act, but a spiritual sacrament. He understood that when we reduce sex to mere pleasure or experience, we are profaning something designed to be sacred, to be a reflection of the union between Christ and His church, to be a mirror of divine communion. Think of Adam in the Garden of Eden before the fall. He didn't experience only physical, but also spiritual loneliness. When God said, "It is not good for the man to be alone," He wasn't just referring to human companionship, but to the need for a union that reflected God's own Trinitarian nature, a perfect, complete, eternal unity. Eve wasn't created to be a temporary experience, but to be bone of His bones, flesh of His flesh, a fusion of souls that transcended the physical. But what happens when we turn this sacred union into casual experimentation? What happens when we treat as common that which was designed to be extraordinary? It's like trying to quench thirst with salt water. The more you drink, the thirstier you become. It's like trying to find light by lighting candles in a room full of broken mirrors. The light exists, but it fragments, distorts, gets lost. You need to understand that this isn't just about moral rules or religious traditions. This is about a spiritual battle that takes place in the deepest dimensions of your soul. It's about the struggle between light and shadow, between eternal purpose and temporal gratification, between true thirst and the mirage that promises satisfaction but delivers emptiness. When you engage in intimacy outside of marriage, you're not just making a choice about your body. You're choosing between two different spiritual realms. You're choosing between the divine order that brings peace and true fulfillment and the chaos that disguises temptation as freedom. You're choosing between building your life on the rock of eternal truth or on the sand of fleeting emotions. The first reason why sex before marriage brings this deep wound is that it breaks the spiritual order of creation. God didn't create intimacy as an appetite to be satisfied, but as a language to be spoken only between two souls who have become one. When you use this language outside the sacred context of marriage, it's like trying to play a symphony with out-of-tune instruments. It might produce sound, but it doesn't produce music. It might generate sensations, but it doesn't generate true communion. Think of Solomon's temple. Every utensil, every piece of furniture, every detail had a specific purpose and a designated place. When someone used the sacred objects for common purposes, they weren't just breaking a rule, they were profaning something that had been consecrated for a higher purpose. Your body, your soul, your capacity to fully surrender to another person, all of this is a temple. And when you use this temple for casual encounters, you are desecrating what was made to be sacred. The second reason is that intimacy outside of marriage creates fragmented spiritual bonds. The Bible says that the two shall become one flesh, and this isn't just a poetic metaphor. There's a spiritual reality to this union that transcends the physical. Every time you surrender intimately to someone, you're creating a bond that goes beyond what the eyes can see. You're intertwining your soul with theirs in a way that leaves eternal marks. Now imagine this happening repeatedly, with different people, in different contexts. It's like trying to glue together pieces of paper that have already been glued and unglued several times. With each attempt, they lose a little of their ability to truly adhere. It's not that you become incapable of loving or connecting, but something of the original purity, the capacity for complete surrender, is lost with each fragmented bond. This isn't condemnation, it's explanation. It's like understanding why a wound doesn't heal properly when you keep picking at it. It's not to make you feel guilty, but to help you understand why your soul sometimes feels tired, why sometimes you feel disconnected even when you're close to someone, why sometimes you seek intimacy but find only disguised loneliness. 3 reasons why premarital sex isn't a good idea. The third reason is that sex before marriage distorts your understanding of true love. When you put physical pleasure at the center of the relationship, you're inverting the natural order. True love isn't built on physical attraction, but on the consistent choice to commit to the other person's well-being, regardless of circumstances. It's about seeing in the other not just someone who satisfies you, but someone for whom you are called to sacrifice. Think of Christ and his church. He didn't love her because she was perfect or because she satisfied him. He loved her while she was still imperfect, while she was still stained by sin, while she was still far from the glory he had prepared for her. That's the model for marital love, a love that chooses to love before being loved, a love that commits before seeing the fruits, a love that gives before receiving. But when you base a relationship on physical satisfaction, you're teaching your heart to love conditionally. You're training your soul to seek first what you can receive instead of what you can give. You're creating a pattern where love becomes dependent on performance, on satisfaction, on the continuation of pleasure. And when that pattern is established, it becomes extremely difficult to love in a truly sacrificial, unconditional way. This doesn't mean that physical intimacy isn't important in marriage. Quite the contrary. It means that it finds its true fullness only when it's grounded in eternal commitment, in the choice to love regardless of circumstances, in the decision to give yourself completely even when it's difficult. The sacredness of discovery. The fourth reason is that intimacy outside of marriage robs you of the experience of sacred discovery. God designed marriage as a closed garden, where two people discover each other gradually, sacredly, and protectively. It's like a book you read chapter by chapter, savoring each revelation, each discovery, each moment of growing intimacy. When you experience intimacy outside of marriage, you're reading the last chapter before you've even met the characters. You're harvesting fruit before you've planted the tree. You're trying to experience the destination without taking the journey. And this doesn't just diminish the experience, it completely distorts it. Think of the difference between a burglar breaking into a house and a child receiving the keys to their parents' home. The burglar may have access to the same objects, but they will never experience the joy of belonging, of inheritance, of true connection with that place. They will always be an intruder, always carrying the consciousness of being where they shouldn't be, always feeling that something is missing even when they have everything in their hands. When you experience intimacy outside of marriage, you're like that burglar. You may have access to the physical experience, but never the complete spiritual experience. You may feel pleasure, but not fullness. You may experience excitement, but not peace. You may even feel temporary connection, but never the deep security of knowing that you completely belong to another person and that they completely belong to you. If you've come this far on this journey of discovery, I want to invite you to subscribe to this channel. Not because I need numbers, but because you need truth. Here, we don't offer easy answers to difficult questions. We offer true light to real darkness. We offer solid hope to deep wounds. Continue with us on this journey of discovery and healing. The illusion of commitment-free intimacy. The fifth reason is that premarital sex fuels the lie that you can have intimacy without commitment. This is perhaps the greatest illusion of our age, the idea that you can experience the fruits of union without planting the seeds of commitment. It's like wanting to experience the joy of harvest without going through the work of planting, nurturing, and waiting. Commitment isn't a prison, it's the soil where true love grows. It's the security that allows two people to open themselves completely to each other. It's the promise that creates the sacred space where vulnerability can become intimacy, where fear can become trust, where two lives can become one. When you try to have intimacy without commitment, you're trying to build a castle in the air. It may look beautiful from afar, but it has no foundation to support it. It may generate temporary excitement, but it cannot generate lasting security. It may satisfy the body, but it cannot satisfy the soul. And your soul knows this. That's why you feel empty afterward. That's why you feel disconnected even when you're close. That's why you keep searching for something that always seems to slip through your fingers. Your soul is crying out for real commitment, for true union, for a love that isn't afraid to say forever. Think of David, a man after God's own heart. When he gave in to temptation with Bathsheba, it wasn't just about physical desire. It was about the choice to seek immediate gratification instead of waiting for God's provision. It was about choosing what seemed easier instead of what was right. When you begin to understand who you really are, the wrong choices begin to lose their power over you. You begin to understand that you deserve more than scraps of love. You begin to understand that you were created to experience true joy, not just temporary pleasure. You begin to understand that your life has a greater purpose than just satisfying immediate desires. Fifth, you need to learn to wait. We live in a culture of instant gratification, where we expect everything to be easy, fast, immediate. But the most valuable things in life require time, patience, and growth. True love doesn't happen overnight. Real intimacy isn't built in a few encounters. Deep union isn't established just through physical experiences. Learning to wait is one of the most important spiritual disciplines you can develop. It's learning to trust that God has the best for you even when you can't see it. It's learning to value the process as much as the outcome. It's learning that some of life's greatest joys come from anticipation, preparation, and hopeful waiting. Think of the difference between a carefully cultivated garden and a plant that grows wild. The wild plant may grow faster, but the cultivated garden produces sweeter, longer-lasting, more nutritious fruit. Your heart is like a garden. You can let it grow wild, experiencing anything that seems attractive at the moment, or you can cultivate it carefully, planting only what will produce true fruit. Waiting isn't passivity. It's active preparation. It's using the time to become the person you need to be to experience the love you desire. It's developing character, maturity, wisdom. It's learning to love sacrificially, to serve genuinely, to commit truly. When you finally find the right person, when you finally enter marriage, you won't want to arrive empty-handed. You will want to arrive as a beautifully wrapped gift, carefully prepared, lovingly guarded. You will want to offer not only your body, but your whole soul, not only your passion, but your purity, not only your desire, but your devotion. And the right person will recognize that gift. They will value the fact that you waited. They will honor the fact that you guarded yourself. They will celebrate the fact that you chose purity over ease, commitment over convenience, true love over temporary pleasure. This doesn't mean the journey will be easy. It doesn't mean you won't face temptations, that you won't have moments of weakness, that you won't question your choices. It means you will have a solid foundation to stand on when the winds come. It means you will have a clear identity to guide you when emotions are confused. It means you will have a greater purpose to motivate you when discipline is difficult. Remember, you're not doing this alone. God didn't just give commandments, He gave the power to obey them. He didn't just show the path, He promised to walk with you. He didn't just reveal the truth, He promised to be your strength when you can't walk in the truth alone. Every morning, you can wake up and choose again. Every morning, you can decide that today will be different. Every morning, you can remember who you are and where you're going. Every morning, you can connect with the source of your power and your identity. And when you fail, because we all fail, you can remember that God's love is greater than your mistakes. You can remember that God's grace is sufficient to cover your shortcomings. You can remember that God's mercy is renewed every morning. Don't let the fear of failure keep you from trying. Don't let the memory of past mistakes prevent you from making right choices today. Don't let shame keep you from the restoration God wants to do in your life. Your story doesn't end with your mistakes. Your identity isn't defined by your failures. Your future isn't limited by your past. You are more than the sum of your wrong choices. You are a masterpiece being sculpted by the hands of a God who loves you more than you can imagine. And when you finally experience true love, when you finally marry the right person, when you finally experience intimacy as God intended, you will understand why it was worth the wait. You will understand why it was worth saying no to the counterfeits so you could say yes to the real thing. You will understand why it was worth choosing the difficult path of purity so you could experience the joy of true union. And then you will be able to look at others who are going through the same struggle you went through, and you will be able to say with authority, "I know it's hard. I know it seems impossible. I know everyone around you is saying you're missing out. But I promise it's worth it. I promise there's something better. I promise you won't regret choosing God's way." So I ask you, what story do you want to tell? What legacy do you want to leave? What kind of love do you want to experience? Do you want to keep repeating the same patterns that leave you empty? Or do you want to have the courage to choose a different path? A path that may be harder at first, but that leads to true fulfillment. The choice is yours. God won't force you to do what's right. He will invite you, encourage you, empower you. But the final decision is yours. You can continue seeking satisfaction in the wrong places, or you can have the courage to seek the true source. You can continue settling for imitations, or you can have the patience to wait for the real thing. Your soul is waiting for your answer. Your life is waiting for your decision. What will you decide?